So today we're going to cover our WallboardFX product, pretty much just an overview session, just on some of the features in our latest version, which is obviously version 4.1. Just got a few usual kind of house rules and things to go over. The kind of agenda, as you can see there, is really just a quick recap of some of the existing features and functions that we've added over the last little while. And then we'll talk about some of the more recent features that were added, in particular how we work with agents and queues, etc., and some additional stats that we're able to obtain. And also from PhoneView 7.0 and above, we added a form of integration with UCCX as well. I'm going to focus probably on that aspect of it and the demo side of it, and if there's any kind of questions, but hopefully I'll give you a quick flavour of the product itself, and also how PhoneView can help you with your contact centre as well in combination with Wallboard. So the session will be recorded. If you don't want to get a copy of it, you can just email us, sales@unifiedfx.com. If you've got any questions, if you don't mind submitting it in the Q&A panel to all panelists, just because any one of the guys here that are on the session can pick up your question and answer it. In terms of UnifiedFX, there's three main products really that we go to market with. PhoneView, which is our original product, which goes way back quite a while now from when I first put it together. It's very well known in the industry. It's been used to solve many problems when it relates to phone endpoints. It's used to manage literally millions of Cisco phones. The most recent additions relate to soft phones. Obviously, that's more relevant nowadays with a lot of people having to work from home, etc. So that's quite a unique feature that just makes life a bit better when it comes to working with soft phones. And we've also included UCCX integration in PhoneView as well, which I'll give you a little demonstration of in this session. In terms of Wallboard, obviously we're going to cover that in more detail throughout this session, but some of the highlights is very quick and simple to install. You literally just install it yourself by design. It's 100% browser-based. There are no plugins, so it's all native to the browser, just using HTML5, etc. And how we designed it is for incredibly fast real-time updates, basically sub-second delay from an event happening in your contact center, and the Wallboard being able to display it in that browser session. And then finally we have our MigrationFX product, which again, it's something that has been around for a wee while now, and it's been used by lots of companies to replace their physical phones old for new as its primary kind of use case. There's other things it can do as well, but that's kind of well known for how quick and easy we make it to swap out an old phone for a new one almost automatically, the way that it works. Important point to note is all of our products are up to date and Cisco compatible. We actually literally just finished compatibility testing with PhoneView and Communication Manager 14, so that's fresh off the press, just waiting for Cisco's website to update and reflect that. Similarly with WallboardFX, that's just completed testing as well. And same with MigrationFX, actually went through a bit of a phase of going through all the IB tests in the last kind of 6 months, so they're all up to date, which is good because obviously the new wave of Communication Manager versions to certify against. So a quick recap on WallboardFX 3, basically going back a little bit in terms of some of the features that were added. I'm not going to go over all these. This is just really for reference if there's anything in there that kind of jumps out at you. Some of it was just kind of convenience, such as the ability to copy displays. As you'll hopefully see, it's really simple to administer. Our platform, it's all self-administration. You don't need any special skills or tools or coding or anything like that to reorganize the layout. but previously you had to kind of rebuild each display separately. So a simple thing that we added, which was just helpful, was the ability to copy displays. Probably should have done it at the beginning, to be fair. So it's good to have things like that in there, and some, you know, tidy up in terms of like password recovery and things like that. In terms of enhancements, some of the things we did based on customer requests was some extra queue and agent statistics, etc., that we've been able to add in there. And as always, you can embed the wallboard within a Finesse gadget as well. And then more recently, in terms of what was added in 4.0, was some extra Cisco compatibility. We also added the high availability support. That was something previously you had to kind of manually reconfigure the system to work with high availability pair, but we literally rewrote the integration code, and that allowed us to add high availability support, so it will automatically find a master and move over. As I kind of mentioned, it's a rewrite of how we did the integration. We did it in a kind of unit test model, so it meant we could be a lot more safe and secure in terms of how the code was doing the integration, and that wasn't necessarily about the way it worked with UCCX, more about our internal mechanics, and it was clean and efficient in processing all the low-level CTI messages, which is quite a tricky thing to do cleanly. And then what we also did, and this is probably worth mentioning, is previously all we ever did was integrate to UCCX using its CTI protocol, which the reason for doing that is because it's incredibly fast in real time. Not many wallboards use that integration. They kind of take the simpler approach of using a database feed, which is fine generally, but it's slower by the order of typically about 20 seconds or more. It's delay from something happening to having information, but by using the CTI data, we can have information sub-second. But that CTI data has little bits of information and statistics sometimes missing from it. Also, there's certain things we have to kind of calculate, which might drift a little bit on occasion in certain circumstances. So what we did as part of that rewrite is we also integrated with the Finesse API and did a kind of data synchronization. So it means that we'll get the benefits of real-time information, and we can augment that with, you know, the gaps that we couldn't get via CTI using the Finesse API, and also resync and update any values that may have drifted, etc., which could happen. Some odd, unusual situations, but nonetheless, it could happen now and again. So that's probably the bulk of what was added in 4.0. And in terms of in fact, I forgot I had this slide. This is really the kind of detail of the resync. So effectively, we're combining that data. Every 20 seconds, we're double checking that the data kind of ties up, etc. We take the most recent information, and that's what we kind of keep and visualize. So the key thing is it gives you the best of both. You get the immediate stats updates, but you just also have that fullness of double checking the values, etc., with the more consistent data that sits inside the UCCX database. Because effectively, when we're taking event data, we just get one event at a time. We have to count things. Whereas when you query the APIs, such as Finesse API, you get a total number. So it allows us to realign that basically every 20 seconds. It generally is a very rare thing when it drifts, but at least if it does, it's auto-rectified very quickly. So the key thing is it's incredibly fast how the data updates, and because of the synchronization process, we can guarantee consistency. Some of the things that we've added in 4.1 as well is some additional queue statistics. You can see them on screen. I'm not going to go over them in detail, but effectively, when it comes to you know, SLA percentage, that's something that had been asked for quite a lot. So it's something that we're able to extract now. That's part of the data that we can get via the Finesse that we couldn't get via the CTI data feed. We can get call answer rate. You can see the formula that we use for that. So just incremental enhancements in terms of the available statistics that you can present. Some queue statistics that have been added, you can see them there: total hold time, average and longest hold duration, average speed of answer, and login duration. Again, that's pulling it from the Finesse data feed. You can see that requirement that it has to be 10.51 or above with Finesse enabled. So basically, it's the Finesse side of UCCX that we use to get that data to fill in the gaps. One of the features that's been asked for a few times over the years was the ability to play an audio alert, etc. So that's something that you can now do. Just choose your own audio file. So rather than just having a visual, alert effectively where it flashes a particular color, etc., depending on the level of breach of the threshold, you can now play an audio alert with that. It's something that we didn't include in the beginning because we didn't think it would be a bit of a nuisance, to be honest, for most situations. But I think there's obviously times where you do want to annoy people, so to speak, to make sure they're aware that something's happened that they need to pay attention to. The HTTPS support. So originally, when we built the wallboard, because it's self-packaged, it has its own web server built in, etc. Now, because of how these things kind of work, it's not necessarily straightforward just to have HTTPS support because you have to manage certificates, etc. That's something that we've now added over time. It's mostly just a process you have to go through. There's some things we had to do in the product to enable it to work, obviously, but it's just a set of actions you have to go through to generate or use a certificate of your choice, and that enables HTTPS connectivity. And as it says there, you can just contact our support team in order to find out how to do it. Then the next piece is working with PhoneView and what it can do from a contact center point of view. Now, as much as this kind of overview is really about Wallboard, and what Wallboard's been around for a fair while, and at the end of the day, there's only so many statistics you can display, etc. It's more just how you do it. But one of the things that, because of that code rewrite that we did a little while back, and how we did that reintegration into UCCX, we did it in a way that was reusable, a separate UCCX library, and we actually took that UCCX library that Wallboard uses and we also put it into PhoneView. So the data feed, effectively, the mechanics of how we get that data from UCCX that our WallboardFX product uses, is also included as part of PhoneView now. And obviously, PhoneView is meant for managing endpoints. It's not designed to be a wallboard, so it's a different purpose. And one of the main things that it allows you to do is become effectively a level of supervision across your agents. And you'll see that in the demo in a minute, where you can, see the agent states, set the agent states, you can even log agents in and out, etc. It works with multiple clusters, supports high availability as well. All the kind of good capabilities are in there. So it's really, giving you agent control, effectively agent management from that perspective, which is typically a supervision function, but certainly for a UCCX administrator, it's helpful too if you want to do testing, etc., which I'll go over in a little bit more detail as well. Now, in terms of testing, it's great if you can, test a contact center platform, and obviously it's going to manifest itself in terms of real-time data in terms of Wallboard. And sometimes you want to be able to just prove that calls are flowing the right way, etc. You can sometimes kind of see that in the Wallboard data, and obviously that's typically an aggregate view. But if you want to go down to the agent level and place test calls and things like that, obviously, you'd spin up a soft phone or get a hard phone out and use your own devices and endpoints to test that. But one of the key features that added to PhoneView is the ability to support virtual endpoints. That effectively means that PhoneView has its own soft phone built in, but it's quite a unique soft phone that actually supports multiple simultaneous instances of a soft phone. So rather than just having one computer and one soft phone, you can actually have one computer and 10 soft phones if you want to, all independent and all able to run at the same time. And if you take that to its next logical step, one of the things that we've done with PhoneView is we've actually enabled those virtual endpoints to also become agents. So therefore, that gives you virtual agents. And you're going to see that in the demo in a minute. And that effectively means that at one side, you can see the wallboard and all your data. And the other side, you can kind of prove your ACD routing logic and things like that, because you can, without really disrupting your normal agent environment and configuration, you get a shadow configuration and test it through that. You can put all those calls through and prove it out. And as I kind of touched on already, here are some of the kind of scenarios that you can do when you have a virtual UCCX agent. It gives you full end-to-end testing, such as your ACD and your Q logic, etc. And the main highlights are that there's no need for multiple PCs or physical devices when testing. You can quite literally do end-to-end testing of a UCCX system purely on software, no hardware at all. One instance of your communication manager cluster, one instance of your UCCX system, and one instance of PhoneView, and whatever UCCX contact center configuration you like, you can bring up all those agents, put calls in and out, receive them, send them in, navigate IVR, etc., all in a pure soft environment, which makes it nice and flexible and quick and easy to do testing of your environment. Okay, that's really it from a slide deck point of view. If I just share my machine, hopefully it's still connected. Looks like it is. Two seconds, I got floating windows and so they're getting in the way a little bit. Okay, so just have a drink for a second. On the left-hand side, we have our WallboardFX product. So that's just opened up in the browser. We can see two parts to it. We can see the table on the top in this particular arrangement. We can see it has 5 queues effectively, and we can see there are 6 different statistics or parameters of data that we're visualizing. Not that there's really anything happening in the lab, but obviously as things happen, you'll see that update in real time. Then down the bottom kind of half of the wallboard display, you can see these 2 red cards effectively. So they're indicating the 2 agents that are logged in and not ready in their current state. Now, I'm going to take you through the wallboard side and how to kind of set things up, etc., for creating a display, just so it does give you that overview for anybody who's new to the product. It'll be a quick kind of run through. And what I'm then going to do is show you PhoneView basically driving the contact center on the left there. Up 2 seconds, my floating windows are jumping about here. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have the actual display that you can see. What I'm going to do is just copy that URL, open a new tab up, paste that into there. And for now, I'm just going to bring that out over to the right-hand side. So we've kind of got a left and right view. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to go into the admin interface. So in this case, I've got these kind of icons in the toolbar. That one there is full screen, so that will maximize your display usage for the wallboard content. On the left-hand side, this gives you ways just to navigate between different display configurations. I've only got one at the moment. And in the top right corner, the kind of copy wheel, that takes you to the admin interface. Now, I've logged in already, but it's just password protected to get in there. And at the moment, this is showing you this is giving us the editing configuration for the display on the left-hand side. So if I do a rename, so I could do display name and change it to display demo. If I scroll down to the bottom and I hit save changes, you can see that it actually triggers the display on the left because it's got a live browser connection, and it tells it to refresh. And when it does, it picks up that change. So it's now called display demo at the top. And that's the same for any configuration that you change that you make in here. As soon as you save it, if there's an active display showing that content, it will refresh automatically and take those configuration changes. So let's say, for argument, if you look at the region information down the bottom here, that's how we break the display down. At a top level concept, we have a region, so I can add a third region, or I've got two at the moment, this queue view and agent view, so that's two display types. I can reorder them with the up, down arrows, etc. And within the queue view, which maps to this table at the top here, you can see it's got a kind of preview scenarios that's showing you the list of the queues and the parameters across the top. And if I click edit, then we can see queues and parameters as entities that we can work with, right? So if I want to remove admin, for example, and the up down arrows there allow you to change the order. If I click the little red cross, that is removed. And then if you notice down here, we can add it back in if we want to. And that's effectively manipulating the columns that are available. Notice it still has the admin queue in here because I haven't saved any changes yet. Hold on a second. My little pop-up thing here keeps getting in my way. Let's try and move it. And then on the across the top, representing the columns and the parameters in there, you can see there's these data parameters. So if I go down to the bottom here, there's a whole host of different parameters that can be added. I don't think we've got SLA probably set up in the lab, but I'll add it anyway just to show you. If I hit add, you can see there's SLA percentage at the beginning. I can bump it down if I can click the arrow properly. So it's in the second position. If you look at the preview, it's showing up there. And if I click cross, it removes it. I think in this case, what I'll maybe do is take away the, no, maybe add one in, longest wait duration. I've already got that one in. What do I want to add? Calls handled today, let's add that one. So if I do close on there, you can see the preview is updated. With still the admin's been removed and we've got the handle calls today. If I go down and save it, and if you look on the left-hand side, it automatically refreshes, and we've now got 4 queues instead of the 5, and we've got that extra column. It's maybe looking a little bit squished because I'm on a half kind of width view here, so I'll maybe take away that handle call stat actually, just to give us a little bit more space. And again, I make that edit, I make the save, and you can see it refreshes automatically. In terms of thresholds, I mean, I don't want to go over every single feature, but I just want to give you a quick visibility of it. If I go to the threshold button here, this relates to this table, I can then choose a particular queue. So I guess let's choose support. I've got some stuff that happens in there. So for the support queue, you can add a threshold. You can have a threshold that triggers if a number's going up the way or down the way, crossing a threshold. You can then choose what it is. So for example, it could be calls in queue. Don't know if we can, let's try it with 1. I don't know if I'm doing that the right way around, but let's see. So that basically means that, oh no, I can't do that one. Within that time range, you can edit the time there, you can drag the bar around, you get a multiple for different thresholds for different time ranges. It's now going to do that. I think what I'm going to do is 2, 1, I don't even know if you do 0, do you do 0? Yeah, I can't remember. It's the best one, less than 1. Let's try that. I might not have, this might be a user problem. Unable to save changes, so that's right. Let me remove that and add it again. So go back. Is it oldest agents? Which one was I looking for? Calls in queue. Let's do 3 this time actually, because I want to see it kind of build up. Yeah, that's what I was trying to achieve. So we do that, we're in the right time range. So that's going to take care of the threshold side of it. Again, if I save changes, you won't really see anything visually happen, but if I do a demo and we get to that point where we're hitting that threshold, you'll start to see the color change accordingly between that low, medium, and high. That's how we set thresholds. And then the last part really discussed where we maybe show you some data changing. is the agent view. So the agent view has got two ways to display. We can either do, well, what was the original view as this kind of card or box kind of layout, or you can just do a more kind of traditional table view. So hit save to that. You can see we've got two agents. It's got the numbers listed across the way, and we've got state at the end there. I personally quite like the box view, so I'm just going to change that back. And then in terms of which agents to share or show, you basically can choose the CSQs that you want. So you just type in there and pick another one, or remove them obviously. And you can then either take all of them or just some selected agents if you want to exclude supervisors or people like that. So effectively the selected agents will be the ones that are visible. By default, we only show people that are effectively logged in, whatever state they're in. So if you're not logged in, it won't be visible because that can confuse things, get a bit busy if you've got lots of people that are not online. And on the right hand side, this is where you actually, unfortunately because my browser's a little bit narrow, it probably isn't visualizing very well, but the right hand side gives you the ability to change the different fields in that kind of card or the table and what's shown. So if I click on login ID, you can see all the different other things that could be put into that slot effectively. Things like the no answer, if I can click that properly, then you can see different kind of fields you can change around. Now that's the editing a display side of things. I quickly give you another rundown of the other aspects. So at the very top, when you click dashboard, you've got clients. This is giving you the list of browser sessions that are connected. If it can, it'll do a DNS lookup. I've got Docker installed in this demo machine, so it's resolving that as a local host name, but normally it'd be a proper DNS entry for your machine address on the environment. So we try and pick that up automatically. It indicates which machine is maybe the one that you're connected to. I've only got one connection, but if there was other remote like smart TVs and things like that, because it's anything with a browser, then you can see them listed here. And one of the key properties you can do is change which display that they've to show. So you don't have to edit display at the actual Wallboard endpoint. You can actually do it from the admin interface. And remember, the admin interface itself is just a browser, so you can administer that configuration from anywhere. I've only got one display at the moment actually, so it might as well make a change. So if I just do I can do edit to edit directly. That's the view I was in earlier, but I'm just going to make a copy. I'll leave the copy name in there. And what we'll do just to make it obvious that it's different is we'll change the theme. It's really just the background graphic effectively over. And then I hit save. So, and then I go back to here. So this is the connected session on the left-hand side, and by default, it's going to display this display demo. If I click on that, I can then change it to that one that I made a copy of with a different background. I confirm that, and then you'll notice that it's now changed that. And what that basically means is whenever it recognises that browser client coming back in again, that's the default display it will go to. So you don't have to locally attend the wallboard display and reconfigure it, etc. If it get reset, etc. As long as it's able to track it back within that same session, you can essentially set it from here, or you can update it and change it, etc. Sometimes you know they might disconnect and sessions times out and stuff, so there's ways to kind of clear them out manually as well, because obviously lots of different people connect from different places, so we try to keep a sticky record of those kind of things so then they reconnect, but sometimes you want to clear that data out. That's really the bulk of the administration side of Wallboard. Obviously, in terms of using it, it's really just a case of choosing your layouts and displays, etc., and all the different stats. That's the primary purpose of a wallboard, obviously. So the next thing I want to show you, just minimize that out of the way, is how PhoneView can work with that wallboard. So on the right hand side, we have at the moment PhoneView, and PhoneView, if you're not familiar with it, allows you to see your entire Cisco phone estate, hard and soft phones. In this particular setup, I filtered it, so I'm looking at client service framework devices, basically Jabber devices in our case, and I filtered it so that it's only showing us devices that are registered. And what I've done in this case is with these 4 Jabber devices, I've actually registered them inside PhoneView. So this is using this virtual endpoint capability. To do that, you just right click on a device and you choose register. So I've done that already, hence the tick box is ticked. And when you do that, it automatically starts doing a feature called automatic screen render. And what that does, it takes the CTI state of that endpoint and it visualizes it to show you what the calling activity, etc. But the important thing is these 4 endpoints are software entities running simultaneously on the same computer that PhoneView is running on. They're not, they can be remote as well. Obviously, it could be some user somewhere, but in this particular scenario, I'm registering them locally. So if I right click, you can see all 4 of them are registered locally. Now, the way I'm going to use these particular 4 devices are the bottom 2 are agents, and it matches these 2 agents on the left-hand side. And to prove that, if I right click on one of them, there's various options in here, and one of them I'm going to use is this agent state. Now it's logged in previously, so now I can change the state from ready to not ready, etc. So if I choose ready, you can see instantly as I change that state, the color changed from red to green, and that's because of that CTI connectivity that our Wallboard product has. That's one of the main advantages that we have against most of the competition, is the fact that we are so fast in terms of updates. Now we can see in PhoneView that we have that green indicator, so that's showing you the agent state at the moment, so that mirrors effectively what's there. The blue icon up here represents an agent that's logged out. I'm actually not going to use this agent, but I would just choose agent login to log that agent in. Now, so I've got one ready, one not ready. Now, if I want to place a call in, I've got this device at the top here, and I'm just going to use him to make the actual phone call. Now, to do that in PhoneView, there's lots of ways effectively, but a convenient way is down with this keypad. The keypad has different layouts with these different tabs. The first 2 are really geared toward physical phone situations, so it kind of maps the physical phone buttons, etc. The last one, which we call universal, is effectively a CTI keypad, but we've done it in a way that it behaves as though it's like physical button presses, and it's context aware, so it knows the state of the device or devices that you're sending the instruction to. In this case, anything that you select in this screen view up here, I can select multiple as well, which is a very powerful feature. But anything you select, you can then perform actions with. So in this case, let me go to here, this little white box here. I can enter a number in, I think 1800 is the one I would normally use. And with that, any of these 3 buttons here will use that number if it's set, right? If it's blank, you just would use the keypad typically. So I've got my destination number. I'm going to call it by clicking here.
For calling.
And that's the call going into the queue. It's ringing as well. It's maybe a bit loud. And you can see the ringing state that's here. And if I was too slow.
All of our representatives are assisting other callers at this time. Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line and your call will be handled in the order it was received.
So obviously that DQ'd because I didn't answer quick enough. So it put the agent back to not ready. You saw that state change here. You can actually see that threshold now starting to color up because we hit the 1 level for calls in queue. If I right click and I'm going to go ready again, but I'm going to answer kind of quickly this time. So just choose answer down in the keypad here. So we can see the call is connected, and we can see it's in a talking state. And if I right click, don't have to right click. If I hang up now that I'm finished, let the customer hang up actually. So we'll go from here and then we'll hang up. We can see in this particular case, the agent's going to a working state. I think in our UCCX setup, we have to manually go to ready, or the agent has to do that. Maybe a timer on it, but I can't remember if there is. But if I do agent state, and I can go back to ready, for example, and the same thing with this guy, I can go agent state, ready. So let's put the call in again. We'll try a different queue number. I honestly can't remember where this one lands, but let's see who it hits. If I hit call.
Queue for calling.
There we are. So it's back to that same person. I'm actually going to decline the call. Actually, I'm going to change that already. I can't do that mid-call. Let's just, oh no, I did.
All of our representatives are assisting other callers at this time. Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line and your call will be handled in the order it was received.
Yeah, I can't remember my configuration. I don't think that particular queue has that particular agent mapped into it, so I don't think it'll present that. Let me try another number actually. Let me just hang that up. A little bit of trial and error. They all should be sequential.
Thank you for calling. All of our representatives are assisting.
Let's go back to the first one.
Thank you for calling.
Oh, there we are. It was the first queue. Let's ring it in again for that other agent. We can see it's in a ringing state. I'll quickly answer that if I can catch it in time. And we can see we're connected. So the important point is those 4 devices I've been driving in PhoneView are just configured in Communication Manager, but they're registered, including the media, etc. has all been terminated inside the same machine as PhoneView. So on one side, you've got our Wallboard product able to show you all the call statistics, etc. And on the other side, you have the PhoneView product, be able to prove out your contact center configuration, etc., and drive it quickly and easily with minimal dependencies. Okay, I think that will do for the demo. We'll just put everybody back to bed, so to speak, and jump back, stop sharing that. We should back to slides. And I think that's us for today. It's just if there's any questions.